You are listening to the F11 Photography Podcast.
Chasers of light, to the purveyors of pictures, to all of you watching and listening from around the world, this is the F11 Photography Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Deal, along with your other host, Mr. Brandon Gorey.
Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome back to the F11 Photography Podcast in video this time. We are switching between video and audio for the time being, and now we're in video.
Yes, so if you are following along on YouTube and you see a nice colorful thumbnail, that's usually our video version of this podcast. And if you see a white thumbnail with an Apple and a Spotify logo below it, it's going to be an audio-only podcast because Brandon and I cannot meet as regularly as we want, but we still want to give you all some good podcasts. So sometimes I just pull out my Vocaster from Focusrite and just record something that's on my mind, and I'll do an audio only one. Record something that's on my mind. Yeah, I am. I really want to talk about the crisis at the border. No, I'm just kidding. So something photography, videography related. So that's what I've been. That's what we do. And for those of you who are following us on Apple and Spotify who are just listening to the audio only format, thank you and welcome back. Or if it's your first time, welcome. But yeah, if you could hit the subscribe button below, we would greatly appreciate it. South by Southwest is in full swing here. That's what made Brandon late, but that is not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about the WPPI show in Las Vegas. That's the conference that we are talking about. And we're going to talk about a lot of things that I saw because Brandon wasn't able to attend, but I saw a lot of cool things at the different camera booths, lighting booths. We interviewed some vendors, and if you just see a vendor in an interview that you're not interested in, just use the chapters below if you're following along on YouTube. Of course, if you're probably driving in your morning commute, you're just going to listen because you got nothing better to do because you're driving to work.
And if you're driving, I'm sorry, you won't be able to skip the Canon section. I know you want to, but you're just going to have to sit through it.
Right. So, and also... my apologies. Some of the interviews, there's a little bit of clipping on the microphones every now and then, but in general, the intelligibility is good and you can hear everything that's going on. The one thing I forgot when I went to Las Vegas is I forgot my damn headphones. So without further ado, I'm going to let you listen to a word from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Luminar Neo. You can check out the link in the description below or simply use the code KEVIN10 at checkout to get 10% off your copy of Luminar Neo today. And now, on to today's episode.
Hey, this is Vanessa Joy, and you're listening to the F11 Photography Podcast.
Okay, we are back, and we are here to talk to you about the WPPI show in Las Vegas. I know Brandon has questions because he wasn't able to attend. I went there about a week ago, and I'm still kind of in Vegas mode. So I'm going to have myself a beer.
Cheers.
Cheers. You know, you got to kind of acclimate back to normal life when you get back from Vegas. You can only take so many days straight of it, and you got to come home. But when you get home, you're still kind of like, hey, I'm in a lazy mood, and I want a beer. So,
what were you doing in Vegas? Were you chain smoking Marlboros and playing the slots? What are you talking about?
I'm not much of a gambler, and I think that if you gave me a cigarette to smoke right now, I'd get very sick. So I go to Vegas for the culinary offerings because you can have a bad meal there, which, by the way, everybody said, oh, the best buffet there is the Caesar's Palace buffet. It was shit. It was terrible. It was like $180 for two people, and it was gutter trash. The the prime rib there was like eating a catcher's mitt. It was terrible. I was like, how do you fuck up prime rib? Like, it has to be rated as marbled prime in order for it to even like have a prime rating on it. So I think they were deceptively putting standing rib roast in there at like a select grade or something like that. Anyway, that place sucked ass. Just maybe I'm just getting older in buffets, or just like, because I remember I went to the Bellagio buffet about a decade ago and it was absolutely amazing. But everyone's like, oh, you got to go. Like, everything was terrible.
The stuff that was amazing a decade ago, I feel like everyone's trying to just make a quick buck these days.
Yeah, well, we went to a bunch of other restaurants and had great meals there. But that wasn't the primary reason I went there. The primary reason I went there was to go see what all the latest offerings were in the photography and videography related worlds. We looked at all the new gear. And so just to kind of give you a lay of the land, it was at the Mirage in Las Vegas, and very, very, very long walk to the back. I was actually stayed across the street from the Mirage. Getting to the Mirage was easy, but once you got into the Mirage, it was like a quarter-mile walk in the Mirage to get to the freaking showroom floor. But all the major camera manufacturers were there, minus Panasonic Lumix, and I guess Leica and Hasselblad, but I don't really count them. Yeah, you had Nikon as soon as you walked in the door.
Of course.
You saw some really cool things like their new latest and greatest Z8, Z9. Something that stood out, all the manufacturers kind of had the same thing. They had their gear out. They had they had a cleaning service and so on and so forth. But they always had, each one of them had one thing to differentiate them. So Nikon had panelists, so they get like a famous wildlife photographer, portrait photographer to come in and talk about Nikon related stuff. And then, you go over to Canon's booth and they'd have a different thing. But before I go over to Canon's booth, let's talk about Nikon. They had the ZF, the little hipster camera, in different colors. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. I was not expecting to see that. And that was really the only thing that stood out to me, besides the T-shirt that I gave you.
Yes, Kevin surprised me today with a wonderful shirt. Little does Kevin know, I spend a decent amount of time on eBay looking at 1, Blockbuster shirts, and 2, old Nikon paraphernalia. And here we are. Kevin got me something absolutely fantastic. Now, the cool thing about this is the camera on this shirt is a Nikon Z8, which I do own. The thing that is a little bit puzzling to me is, as Nikon is known to be bird photographer cameras, there's a bird on here, and I don't take photos of birds.
Yeah, well, you own a Z8. You own a bird photographer camera.
I love how they...
And you got a bird photographer shirt.
They've got the years font
90
on here. Yeah, like this is like that sailor tattoo like...
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I didn't bring them, but there's stickers. They're color stickers that have that on there, and it looks like the sailor tattoos. So
I'm a big fan of colors.
So that was what was going on at the Nikon booth. I went by the Sony booth. They were featuring the new A9 III. They had a little thing set up there where they were showing flash photography with that new global shutter.
Global.
Yeah, and then they had a gigantic 1200 millimeter bazooka. There really wasn't a lot that stood out to me at the Sony booth. Sorry, Sony users. And then I went over to the Canon booth. The Canon booth was a little different than the other two booths in that they had more of a teaching setup. They had like 3 bays. The F11's own Vanessa Joy had a bay there. She talked to people about portraiture and wedding and stuff like that. Lindsay Adler was there. She was showing off bold colors and all that. And they had all the new latest and greatest lenses like the 24 to 105 f2.8, which is really awesome. And then Canon also rented out a ballroom where you could rent their gear, so you could go walk around the Mirage and test out the lenses. I personally didn't participate in that because really the only new Canon lens that's come out recently that is of any interest to me was the 24 to 105 2.8, which everybody was going after. So I was like, whatever, I don't really care about that. So Canon was pretty cool. They only gave away stickers though, no shirts. Canon never gives away shirts. So if you're from Canon and you're watching this, come on, man, step up your game and bring some T-shirts to the freaking shows.
Hell yeah.
The booth that stood out the most to me was, in my opinion, the camera of the whole trade show that everybody was interested in, which was the X100VI. But before we get into the X100VI, I actually tested out the autofocus on the GFX 102 because I'm a GFX 100S owner. even though it didn't technically replace the 100S, everybody who bought the 102 traded in their 100S for it. So you are what the market says you are. And the 102, according to the market, is a replacement for the 100S. And I tested out that 55 1.7, that new Fuji GFX lens, the GF 55 1.7. And the tracking was definitely noticeably better on the 102. And then when I hit the focus button, it definitely acquired focus faster than my 100S. But it wasn't like lightning fast like Canon R5 or, shooting on a Sony or even a Nikon. And so that still looked like it was a little slower, which makes sense because it's a larger lens mount and the motors are larger. But
would you recommend shooting the 102 outside?
Yeah. I mean, for the colors alone, for the sensor alone, I'd love to shoot it outside.
Yeah, but like moving targets, like street photography, or would you
I would use zone focusing with that thing in manual. Okay. As a matter of fact, on my 100S, I will just shoot at f8 or f11, and I'll just put that thing in manual focus and just like make sure the model doesn't move too much, and I know I'll get it in focus. Because if I try to acquire focus on thing, it's like freaks out. It's like what the problem with Fuji is it actually tracks decently. It's just behind when it tracks, and then when it's time to take the picture, it like freaks out and it misses the eye. But that wasn't the camera that everybody was there to see. There were 4 X100 that I saw the entire conference. 3 of them were in Fuji's booth, and 1 of them was mine. Yes, in the last episode, I talked about how at midnight I ordered this guy. It was like 12:03 a.m. Central Time when Fuji made the announcement, and I saw during my refresh the B&H had this available. I just immediately bought it. I just said, hey, if it doesn't work out, I can cancel my order because they don't charge your card, at least your B&H card, until it actually ships. So I was like, sure. And so I did it, and I got a notification on Wednesday of last week that it shipped. It arrived Friday, and then I left for WPPI on Sunday. So I did take this guy with me, and yes, you are looking at it because you're wondering if it's a rangefinder. It is a rangefinder.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. I've actually never shot out of a rangefinder, so I always find it incredibly interesting. I actually didn't know that this was a rangefinder. Kevin and I talked about this about 2-3 episodes ago. We're talking about like, oh, okay, this just came out. I remember when Kevin bought it and he was going through the pre-order process. I didn't know how sleek it was. It makes me think of a Voigtlander Bessa R3.
Yeah, so it's a hybrid. So you can use it like a regular, you can use it like a regular mirrorless camera. But then when you flip this, it turns into a rangefinder.
Wait.
So
hold on. Let me try this.
So put your eye up to it, and then right there, and flip it.
Okay, so all right, electronic LCD.
So when you're in rangefinder mode,
that's so bizarre.
Yeah, so you can see what's outside of your frame, which is great if you're a street photographer and you're anticipating like a car driving through the frame or somebody walking through the frame. You can do that. You also see the lens, which is kind of interesting. Like old school DSLRs, you don't see what your exposure is going to look like.
I haven't seen an image in real time in so long since I've been using my Z6 and the Z8. This is incredible. I love this. And then like what's kind of cool is it's like, okay, boom, you take the photo and then switch to LCD, hit play, and wait. Okay, there's the play button. Hit play, and then you can review as you're going, half press the shutter. Let me see if I get this right. And then boom, back to rangefinder mode. You don't have to pull your eye from the
That's exactly what I noticed when I was in Las Vegas at the WPPI show is I would just check my exposure real quick. In EVF, and then I'd hit this little button, and then I'd go back into rangefinder mode, and I would anticipate what was happening, and it allowed me to capture my shots better. Another cool thing about this is if you look right there, it's got a leaf shutter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so and it's got a very quiet leaf shutter. It's like a pin drop.
I love how you decided to put a pro mist filter on this camera, Kevin.
Well, you have to put a pro mist filter on the camera because you have to turn into a hipster when you buy this camera.
Where's your almond latte, my dude? What's going on?
I will put a picture of me drinking one on the screen right now because I decided to dress up as a hipster the whole time I was walking around with this in Las Vegas. If there's a place where you can put on a fake Hulk Hogan mustache and a fucking Carhartt beanie hat and not be looked at weird, Las Vegas is that place. So I took this on the Strip. I took it to Fremont Street. I snuck this into the Neon Museum because you're not allowed to have cameras at the Neon Museum. But this guy is so discreet that I pulled it off because he's barely bigger than a phone. So
that's insane.
Yeah. So Very cool. The other thing I got out of the Fuji booth is I think they're going to probably go all in on film simulations. I think that's the future of the company. That's not something that they specifically said. So if you're Fuji rumors and you go, oh, I heard some guy on a podcast say, I just had conversations with them, and that's kind of the vibe I got. They're all wearing film simulation shirts. I would not be shocked if we saw Pro 400H soon.
That's kind of a bummer, though, because you want Fuji to like carve out a space that's, more, I guess for lack of a better word, serious. Because, like if they're moving towards that film simulation and they're just working, more so on color sciences and making bulky, slow cameras with massive sensors, like, where's that in-between camera? Where's that camera that competes with the Z8 or competes with the R7 or the R5? It kind of just seems like they're making like cameras solely for Instagram marketing or solely for people who want to make, Instagram reels with them.
Well, I will say that this camera is definitely marketed that way. And then their XS20 is kind of marketed that way. But their XH2 and their GFX stuff is definitely marketed toward a more professional, discriminate market who has very specific needs that they have.
Right. Is there a middle ground? Because like it seems like the Nikon equivalent is like, okay, we're either selling a ZFC or we're selling a Z8 and a Z9.
I would say that a lot of Fuji stuff is based around the experience of shooting it. So like this camera, the X100 it's just an XH2 sensor. There's nothing different about that. However, it's like half the size, half the weight of an XH2. So the experience of just kind of keeping it in a small bag, experiencing things as you see them, documenting a story, but having a good sensor to do it. That's really what it's about. There's no mystical magic powers of the camera as I show you some images that I took while I was in Las Vegas. I will say, though, that the internal ND filters and the IBIS allowed for some interesting stuff that I did. I was able to handhold a shot for a second, which I'm showing you right now, of the area around the Golden Nugget on Fremont Street. I was able to handhold for a second. And, when you zoom in and you pixel peep, you can see that it's slightly shaky, but at like Instagram distance, it looks pretty sharp. Fuji, I think, Fuji, I don't want to say they stole the show because you had the A9 III there and there's some other really cool products there, but that's the most in-demand camera in the world right now. Apparently, they sold 1 million of them or something, if you believe the rumors. They are back-ordered until June. And to all of you who are buying 2 or 3 of the X100 and reselling 2 of your 3 for a profit, fuck all of you. I know that you can technically do it, but you're taking away an experience for 2 other people who are going to have to wait until like June or something like that. I could absolutely resell my X100 right now, probably for $1,000, $2,000 profit, but I'm not going to do that because I actually bought this camera not to resell it, but because I wanted a dedicated street photography camera, and that's exactly why I got this camera. So, that's kind of the summary of the camera brands. Let's just talk about some other things that stood out before we get into the interviews. And so Newer was there. They are going to hook me up with a Q4, which is about a $450 light. It's a strobe. Apparently it's on sale right now, though. So I'm going to check that guy out. AI seems to be a big thing. Last year, Imagine and Evoto were both at the WPPI show. It seemed like there were 2 more people that I don't recall seeing there last year. Maybe they were there, but I don't remember seeing them. One is a company called Aftershoot. And then another one is called Next Polar, who I'm going to enter into a review with. They're going to allow me to test out their batch editing. So you could take like a whole wedding, you could do 12 edits, it'll analyze your 12 edits, and then it'll apply it to all of your 1,000 shots from the wedding in your style. And then you go in, and if you go, oh, hey, that's kind of close, but here, I want to do 2 more edits to kind of refine it, they'll do that. And they'll do that batch editing for you. And so I'm going to test that out and see if it's any good. And I'll get back to you on that. But Sigma and Tamron, nothing really new to report. I know that they've come out with some new lenses recently, but they didn't even like put them front and center. They just kind of had a generic, like, here's all of our lenses, and you couldn't tell what was from what brand. They didn't really stand out to me, in my opinion. Adobe was there. I don't recall seeing them last year. Capture One was there. I don't recall seeing them last year. And Luminar Neo, I don't recall seeing them last year, but they were there this year to show off the fact that Luminar, who does sponsor this pod, has a new iPad app, which is cool. And I'm actually going to go on a photo walk with Luminar and Fuji after we're done recording this pod. So
Luminar's in Austin.
No, they're from Ukraine.
No, but they're in Austin for the photo
They're in Austin
walk
right now. Yeah.
Wow.
So they're doing a partnership right now. Notably absent from WPPI this year. I already mentioned Panasonic Lumix. Rotolite was there last year. They had a modest booth. They had no booth this year. That was kind of interesting. I'm not sure why, because they used to bombard me with marketing, so not sure what that means. No, maybe they're doing well, maybe they're not doing well, maybe they didn't see the value in having a light that's marketed toward portrait photographers to be featured at a portrait photographer conference. No idea. Gravity backdrops, I didn't see them there. There weren't a lot of good backdrop options this year versus last year. I was actually looking to maybe get a backdrop. No, there was really no backdrop companies that stood out to me this year. Elinchrom wasn't there. Broncolor wasn't there. Westcott and Profoto had a very small footprint. I think they were just operating intelligently and that they provided equipment, and then you'd see the Profoto logo everywhere, but they didn't actually have dedicated booths this year. And that kind of rounds out most of that. One other thing. I stopped by Stella Pro's booth because remember I told you that I bought some Stella lights.
Yeah, they're interesting lights. They look like stethoscopes.
Yeah, but they're really light. Anyway, I talked them into giving me one. So
hey, nice.
Yeah, exactly. So
I can't wait to use that by proxy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna see if they can give me like a color temperature orange gel, test it out because they have an updated design. So I'm gonna do a review for them. So I'm excited about it. I've been wanting to get one of those my hands on one of those Stella lights for a while. So, but anyway, I think we should move on to the interview portion of this pod, and we're gonna start off our interview today with Nomatic. So Peter McKinnon's brand. So I'm here with Kyle Abarca, and we are at the Nomatic booth. And if you're not familiar with Nomatic, you've probably seen Peter McKinnon using it. So refresh your memory. Now, you guys are based out of Utah, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about, or tell the viewers and listeners a little bit about your brand and what you guys do.
So what we do is we have a wide range of like products that we do. We do travel, we do everyday items, and the reason why we're here is because we do a lot of good camera items. We do that collaboration with Peter McKinnon in making his bags for him. And so we just released his new line, so that's kind of why we're here, to kind of present those new lines, and always everybody loves the classics still.
So tell me about these, because they have really unique colors. I'm from Austin, so burnt orange actually is a very awesome color for Austin. But tell me about these, because they're really unique looking. Yeah, so these are our new line, the Luma bags. They come in 9 liters, 12 liters, and 18 liters. And what's unique about them is probably this. Everybody loves is the magnets. Ooh, magnets are awesome. That you can open. This is really nice. I recently just got to use this. You can fit a 70 to 200 straight up and down. You can also fit your camera body and then whatever other lens, 24 to 70. You could put a bottle of water if you wanted to. Man, I think I could do like a R5, a 28 to 70 f2, and a 70 to 200 2.8 in this guy and run a whole wedding. Yeah, exactly. And it's nice and compact, so it's not like you have to have something hanging from your back. You can have it right on your side. And the nice thing is that this opens up away from your body instead of having something trying to flip up and constantly fall down while you're trying to grab things out. And for the people listening, not viewing, the sides on these, they don't collapse very easily. They're pretty stout. Yeah. Which is good because it kind of gives you a table. If you're changing out, you don't have to worry about your bag sagging or anything like that. It just kind of gives you a nice, robust place to pull things out of, right? Yeah, and we put the reinforced wiring here too, so nothing's going to crush your stuff, your precious lenses and bodies in here. And as far as the colors go, this is like the first set of colors that we've released in the Peter McKinnon line. Everyone's used to those traditional black. We have the rust, and we also call this sage. And then we also came out with gray as well, which is all are very popular. They're kind of within fractions of each other of which one's the most popular color. Now, what is the respective pricing on these guys as they go up? So this is going to be, starting at the biggest one, is going to be $220. Mm-hmm. The next one down is going to be the 12 liter, and this is going to be $140. And then the 9 liter will run you $120. Awesome. And the 9 liter is kind of geared towards somebody
like kind of like myself, who shoots sports photography, I only need a 70 to 200 with my body attached to it. And so that's all I'm going to need to put in there, which is great. But it's also great for street photographers. Just having a couple little prime lenses, in your bag with a camera body, it's like literally perfect to go walk around town, do some cool street photography or night photography.
So something else that immediately stands out to me about these is it's not easy necessarily to get them open when they're unzipped, and that's kind of the point. As someone who's had an R5 with a RF85 1.2 attached to it fall onto my driveway, kind of like the fact that you do have to put in an effort to open these up. So
the magnets we have magnets like on our water bottle pockets on a lot of our other bags, and these are like for sure upgraded magnets as well.
Even when you unzip it, it's not like super easy. Now, I guarantee if a 28 to 70 is pushing down that, it'll probably demagnetize it. But it's not as easy as it. As somebody who fumbles things, this is good for me.
Yeah, doing handstands while you're wearing it is not recommended.
No, definitely not. So, and these are available. When do these launch?
These will be launching on March 12th on Nomatic.com. Everybody go check them out. Probably be able to see a lot more features on the bags, but the coolest thing with these sets of bags is that they have a completely different divider system than our traditional 25 and 35 liters. The dividers in here have like rivets that you can literally bend it all the way around your camera, your lenses, so you know that you're not going to waste even a tiny bit of space.
That's awesome.
So in some of the other bags in my 25 liter I use, with the way it's set up, I always have this little gap of like wasted space where like my memory card holder won't fit because it sticks up above it. So just like a real awkward shape, where in these, in the backpack specifically, I don't get that happening.
So you're saying that the dividers in these are maybe even superior to the originals?
Yeah.
Sounds like they're going to relaunch the originals with the new dividers at some point.
Hopefully, or we're going to come out with extra dividers and you can just use them in there, and kind of swap them out yourself. But I think eventually, maybe if we do come out with new versions of these, maybe we will mix it up, probably keep the colors scheme the same, but then make them a little bit more adjustable. But that's TBD. I can't say that's happening for sure. No
worries. Well, real quick, can we show them the classics real quick? Because some people might still be interested in the classics.
Yeah, definitely. Let me go ahead and grab one of these.
No worries.
So this is the bag I use the most. Like if I'm going to be using a backpack style, this is our 25 liter. Has a nice little ripstop material, so they are water resistant. Shouldn't have to worry about any water going inside of these. I've done a test in front of a crowd where I dumped a gallon of water, let it sit for about a minute, opened it up, and it was completely dry on the inside.
Isn't there some story about some guy putting these through a car wash, or is it the other one?
I think it was a 35 liter, which is the bigger one, but they're built the same pretty much. Yeah, we had a gentleman go through a car wash with this in the back of the truck with him, get all the wax and everything done. He got it finished up, and he opened it up, and all of his gear was completely fine.
I don't think you'd officially recommend that, but that's a good testimony.
I highly do not recommend that, but at least you have some proof.
So what is unique about these zippers compared to a lot of other manufacturers' bags?
So a lot of other manufacturers' bags, like I don't really know many that are like water resistant or like waterproof, but to make ours much better is we put this I guess you would say like a sealing film on it, so that way when you close it, it creates a seal, so the water will just run over it rather than trying to seep in it. These bags are also water resistant, but you can tell there's a difference between the zippers. These are material. So with the Luma line, you would definitely want to be a little more careful in the rain, but obviously it's not going to just like seep right through. We've done a pretty good job at making sure that doesn't happen.
Well, as somebody who doesn't like to get one of those little baggies out and put it over the back of my backpack, I definitely could see that being an advantage for a lot of you who are listening or following along and going, oh, I hate having to pull my little rain fly out on my bag. The fact that this is water resistant, and you just go out in a sprinkle and you're good to go.
Exactly. And if you are worried about that, we do have our, what we call a rain fly actually. So we have them in the big version, which would cover our 35 and our 25. And then we have the medium version, which would also include the Luma bags because of those zippers, how we say they're not exactly like these. if you do live in a rainy or moist area, you definitely might want to grab like one of the medium rain flies just to make sure you're fully protected.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, these bags are pretty awesome in my eyes. I may actually end up getting one and retiring my 6-year-old bag that I brought with me here. But check out the link. I'll put it in the description for Nomatic. And then this is Kyle, so everybody say thank you to Kyle. And we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
You too.
So that was Kyle at Nomatic. He was showing us that new Peter McKinnon line of bags. They look pretty cool with those magnets.
I like how sleek they are. Yeah, I like how compact they are. They didn't look like your average bulky bag. They look like the type of bag where you could really put your stuff in there and you wouldn't have any extra space left over where you have to slug a bunch of compartments that are unusable.
Well, I'm not the type of person who buys like celebrity endorsed brand name products. As a matter of fact, I can think of 3 I've ever purchased. One of them is the Lindsay Adler Westcott Gobo Spot, which is behind our camera right now. 2 is I purchased Vanessa Joy's Capture One presets because they got me through a wedding. And the 3rd is I did get the Peter McKinnon sling pack.
Oh, nice.
I got the classic. I didn't get the new model. I got the old model, and the old model is very waterproof. So that's an 8-liter sling pack, and I have 3 cameras in there right now. So I have a GoPro, I have my Fuji X100, and I have my Fuji XH2 in there.
I love it's so rugged all around.
This guy walks around with his fucking Z8 just in his hands.
I've done it since I've had a D750. I have my camera sitting here and the lens just points out and I just cradle it when I walk around. I've been known to put lenses in my pockets before.
And just full disclosure, I did pay for this bag. It was not given to me because I do get people who give me free things sometimes because of my YouTube channel. I paid for this. So they did have a 20% off. So yes, I do roll around with Peter McKinnon's name slung across my shoulder now. And by the way, I'm buying 2 more of these. I'm buying the 1-liter to just keep my X100 in. And then I'm also buying the really big one because the really big one, I think it's like a 35-liter.
Yeah.
You can put this in the top compartment. And so like you can take your whole rig with you on vacation, but then go off on little sub adventures with this. And
yeah.
Even though the new ones have the magnets in them, this one actually has this little string that goes like this. So you don't even have to keep your bag zipped up. You can just walk around with it like this. And then when you're ready, you just undo this real quick, pull your camera out, take your picture, put it back in. You don't even have to zip up your bag. So it's really cool.
I like how obviously this is designed with the photographer in mind, because the reason I don't bring camera bags is it's such a hassle, and it's such a I don't want to have to like take it off, make sure I put it on the ground the right way, and figure out is this zip the right zip for that compartment. It's always that's always a hassle.
And then you see this,
but that's nice.
You see this part right here. It's waterproof.
I like
that's
that.
What that is. So
how much was that?
I want to say it was. With my WPPI code, it was like 130.
That's worth it, because I'd carry something like that with me.
Yeah, because you carry a 24 to 70 and a 14 to whatever with you. You could keep that whole thing in here.
Yeah. Wow.
So anyway, maybe I'll hook you up with a code. So
maybe you do.
Maybe. But anyway, we're going to continue on, and now we're going to show you our interview with Adorama.
So I'm with Joe Addison of Adorama. I have purchased stuff from Adorama. I bought my GFX 100S from you guys. I woke up yesterday morning and I saw that there was a special edition Explorer 600. Now, as somebody who owns a 600 myself, what is the difference between this and that?
It's a great question. The reason we're doing a 600 is because the original 600, we still have it available, still batteries, still everything available with this, but we're looking 8, 9 years old at this point. It's an old light. 600 Pro is out, but she's pricey. We're looking at $900 for the full TTL system. So it's a little bit expensive. And people who are thinking about upgrading, maybe they have 2, 3, 4 of these things because they're shooting weddings, they're getting everything done with these lights. That's a huge, huge investment at nearly $1,000 per light. This sits in the happy low medium, where it's a little bit more affordable. We're at $600 per light. We're looking at a non-TTL high-speed sync only light. So a little bit of a downgrade over the Pro. This is a unique light to us, and only we will have this. Godox will not have this at all. So it's kind of high-speed sync only, which makes it a little bit more affordable. But we've upgraded the mount over the original 600. We've given it the flash tube and the reflector from the new 600 Pro, and we've completely upgraded the screen here. So we have a full color screen display, which is super fun. And my favorite little feature is you change the group and your little LED indicator changes. So if you're using multiple of these things in a single space, you can quite quickly tell which is which just by checking the color of the light itself. Super fun, super nice to have that feature. Again, we're kind of thinking about people who are owning multiple of these things and using them simultaneously, just because, you know, people actually need to do that. And then the big kind of standout feature for some folks is we have the stupidly powerful modeling lamp on this thing. So here, rocking this thing up to 100%, and I'm gonna blow out the camera just for funsies.
Yeah, I'm at F11, F10 right now. So that's as somebody who's a studio photographer, I know for a fact that is a bright modeling lamp.
Yeah, I think it's a 40-watt unit inside of here, which is ludicrous if you've ever used it.
You might be able to use that thing as a video light.
You can do. I used it yesterday. So we did a full demo on this thing yesterday in the shooting space, and I did an entire shot with this as the key light, using it in full modeling lamp mode.
And so
I wouldn't replace a good LED continuous light with this thing because it's 40 watts. When I really, really want like 100 watts or something like that for a good, reliable studio light. But, you know, in a pinch, it works nicely.
So MSRP on this, $599?
$599, $600. So very much priced similarly to the original 600. It kind of, for some folks, this is going to be a perfect replacement. So instead of buying an old 600, they buy this, or if they're upgrading, they'd be buying this as the upgrade. And the nice thing is I can grab my old 600 batteries and throw them onto this unit. I can use
so you don't have to buy new batteries.
These are pre-order. These should be shipping in mid-May. About 15th of May is roughly when we're expecting to see these. Because again, these are pre-production units, and these are the only ones in the entire world right now. So don't break them. But they are fantastic. They're functional. They're fun.
What about those little triggers that they've been coming out with? What's up with those?
They will ship you one for free when you pre-order the light.
Now, what's the status on those little guys?
They're coming. We got them coming. They sold out immediately, as you might imagine. Just one of those things. It's like it's a unique product. No one else does anything like it. So they sold out.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Pro Photo, which makes a small one with no screen and it's
no
3 times as
whatsoever.
expensive. Yeah,
it's $250 for that thing.
Yes, I own one. I can tell you all about it. I lost one as well. So yes, they're not cheap to replace.
Oh yeah.
So awesome. Well, are there any new exciting products you want to talk about, or is this the big?
This is the big one, obviously, but we have a bunch of stuff that we've putting out in the last little while. So if you want to swing over to the rest of the booth, these our brand new Auto Stand Pros. If I don't put my leg in the way. These are replacing our original auto stands. These are giving us a significantly higher quality, much better built, much better action, much better stability, and everything. 7 foot, 9 foot, and 13 foot immediately available. Good strength, good reliability. That is the tag for the 7 foot. This is the tag for the 9 foot. And obviously, a nice option for anyone who's doing this kind of work. Anyone who's needing to move around quickly, whether they be at a wedding or whatever they're doing.
And these are available now?
Those are available right now, and they're shipping right now.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joe. Much appreciated. And we'll go off to our next vendor now.
So yeah, the new Flashpoint Flash, it's HSS only apparently and manual, so it's not TTL. It's $600, 600 watt seconds. I'm not sure how to feel about it. They call it the SE for special edition, but if you like TTL, tough, and it's HSS only. So I guess it's for the on-the-go photographer who's just doing like the off-camera flash thing where you shoot wide open. I'm not sure.
It's really interesting because Kevin now shoots Pro Photo, but we formerly we both shot on the older version of the Flashpoint, the Explorer 600, and I actually recently just purchased another one for myself at home because I do product photography there. But I don't know if I go with the new one like for that price, especially when the older one's
$600. It's interesting because it's HSS only. which has its own set of problems. HSS is not consistent. It takes a bunch of little flashes at once. It's not a long duration flash. And so I don't know. I'm not sure how to feel about that, to be honest. I might just go get the original 80s, or whatever the Flashpoint Explorer, Wistro, whatever they're calling them, the 600 BM. The one that you'll see on Black Friday for $350.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll tell you what, it makes the newer Q4 look pretty good at $300 right now on sale on Amazon.
Yeah, because the difference between 400 watt seconds and 600 watt seconds is less than a stop. Yeah. So it's like, oh, instead of my ISO being at 100, it's at 160 in the studio. You're not going to see that.
Especially when you're shooting on equipment like a Z8 or a Fujifilm GFX 102. Like that extra stop, that extra like ISO bump is not going to make a difference.
Yeah, the other thing that stood out to me, I guess they have now a stand like Cheetah stand that goes up and down and expands out, and it's a little cheaper, but I don't know if it's necessarily more robust. And then they apparently they're on the same bandwagon that Pro Photos, Click, and the Angler softboxes are on. Shua showed me that they're doing that whole thing where you take like your Explorer 100 or your Godox 8100 and you put it in with the magnets and you put the color temperature orange gels or just a creative red gel or whatever in there. So. Cool. I'm glad there's more options. That's capitalism hard at work.
I'm surprised that wasn't a proprietary technology. To be brutally honest.
No, they'll build them in the same factory in South Korea apparently. Yeah, so
there you go.
Anyway, so that was cool. We're gonna now shift gears to what I think was the most interesting interview of the day. It's also the longest interview, but I promise it's worth watching. And I stopped by the Hobolite booth. We talked about Hobolite, the fact that their lights look like Hasselblads, or like some sort of a Fresnel light. But I had a really great conversation with Helena, who is the CEO, and let's take a listen or a look at that interview right now.
All right, so we are at the Hobolite booth, and this is Helena, the CEO. And I tried your products out, and they stood out to me aesthetically. They're very visually appealing. They're kind of a cross between an old Fresnel light and a Hasselblad, aesthetically. However, tell the viewers and the listeners why your light is also a good light, not just a good looking light.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We did have several customers yesterday. They wonder, okay, they're so good looking. Are they too fragile? May I able to bring them outdoor to the shooting? My answer is very simple. I just bring any light and I just do the drop test.
She just dropped it on the ground.
So, back to the point. Why Hobolite looks like Hobolite today? There's a reason behind it. First is we are a new brand. We just launched in the market for 1 year. But the fact is behind Hobolite, the company who found this brand, we have 24 years history. Mm-hmm. And in the past 24 years, we dedicate on the whole global, the most high-end portable lighting solution provider. Mm-hmm. We actually invented a lot of new technology, innovators in a lot of new things into the work light industry. But many years ago, when I encountered the photographers and also videographers, when I look at them, how they do their daily shooting, and when they interview me, I see how painful they use hours to set up several lights only. Come on, it's just light, right? So that brings my idea is how to design something for the artists for the location shooting, like we're doing now, right? So the location shooting is supposed to be fast, efficient, and then very easy to bring with you. And the second thing is, I noticed, you love your camera. You take a very good care of your camera. But why people treat lights terribly? They throw out on the ground and they buy every year. Mm-hmm. Actually, everyone, if you know a little bit about LED, the LED life cycle is 100,000 hours. That means many, many years.
Yes.
If you consider how many hours you use, right? So actually, it's more than 10 years you can use. But why you need to be encouraged to buy every year and throw out and then just like a junk? Why you don't treat light as the way you treat the camera? And also, at the same time, we also see that light is how important to the quality of the content, no matter it is a photo or video, any kind of content is even more important than the camera. Even a smartphone with the right lighting setup, you can make a video today. We can make a movie today. But then, it brings my thinking is how I can make a design of the light to encourage the user, treat them nicer, just like the way they treat their camera, because we are going to build the most with a rigid, durable light in the world. So that creates some of the thinking that when I look at in the history of the camera, no matter how old of the camera, like back to 1950, some of the Rolex one in your maybe your parents bought that, right?
Sure.
And also Hasselblad, your parents bought that. You actually don't use.
I shoot on a Hasselblad.
Okay.
I shoot on a 50-year-old Hasselblad.
Yeah,
I love.
true.
That's what got me in the door with these.
Yeah, true. You bought that, and your parents maybe bought that, and they give it to you. You might not really use that for daily shooting, but you will still put there in a very nice shelf, and then as a kind of vintage thing, right?
Right.
Why we don't bring that feeling to our light?
Sure.
Why the light cannot last in 10 years with you? So that is a way we challenge ourselves. Okay, I'd like to design a light just as good looking as an old camera. And then that will make you put attention on that, take care of that.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean we are good looking and fragile. We are very, very robust. So try Hobolite. And the second thing is we target for professional users. So all the light quality, the CRI, the color temperature, the consistency of the color temperature, and the efficiency, everything is the premium quality.
So all your colors are accurate. Yeah.
You're right, because a lot of people like you, professional user, you bought many of the different lights from different brands and different timing, right? Different model number. So you set to the same color temperature and you will get different results. Some of them more white, some of them more orange.
And some of them have more tints. They'll go green or they'll go magenta.
When you're professional enough, decades in there, you will try to describe it. Hey, Helena, I want something green or red, and I can adjust by myself, right?
Right.
Because you're too professional. But how are newcomers? There are so many young generation or new generation, they jumped into this content creating industry. How they can spend so many decades, years trying to figure out how to use a light in the right way. They won't, and they don't need to, because you guys are very creative. Your time, your brain, your intelligence supposed to be just put on the story itself, right? Just like what we are doing now, right? The key is the story. The key is not spend hours to study how to do the light. So back to the point is, we try to do the simplicity. We simplify the design of the feature and the function, and finally, in the end, what matters in that first is the right color temperature, and also the brightness. So we focus on those very important basic things, like the color consistency. Every model, every setting, every item, any time you buy from us, the color difference only minus and plus 100 TK.
That's really, really tight.
That's a lot of 100,000 hours behind in our factory. We need to build that works, because every setting, we need to do the standardized adjustment. But that works out later when you do more than one light from us.
One thing I've noticed about all of your lights is they all pretty much have the exact same simple interface, and then they vary greatly in price. Do you want to talk to the viewers or the listeners about how much does it cost to get into your product, and what could they expect on the high end?
Okay, so something we need to keep in mind is the best quality is not the most complicated product. Sometimes it's the most simple products. This is one thing. And the second thing is, I treat myself as a hobby. Okay, I'm not someone with like you have decades experience. I'm newcomer to this content creating, and I just always try to think about how to make the life easier, and how can I bring something in my hand in minutes I learn how to use. Because my time is very important. My time should focus on the content itself. So, and the third thing is, how can I bring my premium experience of the manufacturing of the design into this category? Because this category, you guys get used to Hasselblad, Leica, and Fuji, right? And Sony and Canon, they're all good. But white lighting is something, those cameras, they can use 5 years, 10 years. You can also trade, right? Mm-hmm. But white lighting need to be something replaced all the time and throw out.
Yeah, lighting, LED lighting in general for a lot of people is just this expendable thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess you all take more of an approach kind of like maybe Apple, where it's an experience, something that you take care of, just like a nice camera, something that you have a long-term relationship with.
Something different is we don't force you to change or upgrade every 2 years or every 1 year, because most of our battery is replaceable. Okay, the bottleneck of this kind of product, maybe just a battery. So the battery, most of them are replaceable. Means because one of the things I care is sustainability.
Yes.
We really care about how to make a product, because this is the product you use as your, just like a partner. You bring with you all the life, because you make a living at, and you need to enjoy every moment. Every moment when you touch, when you use, you need to feel joy, not just the pain point to use them to make the work done. So back to the point is, we bring all those pain points into our design. So try to make things easier and simpler. Any new user touch our light in less than 5 minutes know how to use our light. And also our tripod. We don't do everything because there are so many people in this industry trying to bring a lot of new solutions. We only do things that people don't want to improve, but there's a pain point there. For example, you might experience our light stand, right?
Sure, and I have used your light stand, which I do want you to talk about because it's a really cool light stand.
Yeah, why our light stand is cool first is why we designed that. There's so many light stands in the world, right? And you guys also have a lot of tripod for your camera, a lot. I don't want you to buy a lot of things. So if something you don't have to buy from us, we don't do that. So why we do our own light stand? Because they are too big, they're too heavy, and they're not qualified. And some of them have some issues and not, you want something stable. You want your gear to be reliable. And how to have the light stand always be easy packed and always be with you anywhere you want. When you do a location shooting, you fly from somewhere, right? You're not living in Las Vegas. Okay, how much luggage you can bring with you?
Only so much.
Two, right?
Yeah,
and
two.
Extra going to have money. And I'm a person live on carry-on. I fly several countries. In 3 weeks, I only have carry-on luggage. So I want to make sure things can be shipped or can be together with you with a check-in luggage, but as much as you want for professional shooting. So like for such a kind of shooting, 3 lights is necessary and 3 stand is necessary. And also tripod, right? So how to have them to be packed as small as possible, as light as possible. I tried by myself and also a lot of documentary movie directors together. One carry-on luggage can put 2 of our Avant, 3 of our Mini, including bundles, including a gel, including the dome. And also I have 3 of our, we say 210 and another 240. The stand can be packed together with the luggage and then be shipped together. So I have 5 lights with me for luggage. And I have another luggage to put all my personal stuff. So that's the cool life, and that's the only result we want to achieve. That is, you can bring all the design, all the light with you to guarantee a professional shooting, and then still location easy to bring you with a check-in without extra maybe $25, right? Or even more than that, right? So
you could buy a light for that luggage check-in fee.
True. I mean, how many flights you need to take, and think about how many extra $25 you need to pay if you put one more, even more, right? So that's the way I try to make sure we deliver the messages. Because Hobolite is designed for the artist on the go. We design for the location shooting. We design to make the tool, make the gear, not only just for the function, to make the work to be done, but also make sure you also enjoy the process to make your job.
Absolutely.
And the process matters everything. I also try to explain. If I need to do, for example, I'm writing an article, right? If my computer not works, I couldn't write down. I couldn't finish that. So it means all my creation can be destroyed if I don't have the right gear. Same to you. Yeah. So if the gear make you really joyful and it really make you enjoy all the process to do the creation, you will be passionate, you will full of intelligence, and you will really always focus on the next exciting story. So finally, we say we want to freedom the artist in your heart, because it's not just a work, it's something you dream. You guys are the one very creative. You decided to do this thing by yourself. You live by yourself. You don't have a company pay all the insurance. And that's a freedom comes with a cost. It's a risk. That's what we call Hobolite, because Hobo is those people in the very difficult crisis time, they never give up. They jump on the train, they try to find a job, they try to use their work, and they try to create for the living, and they never stop. So life is like that, and I believe this is something just like your life. You jump on the train or jump on the flight, and for one project, for another project, and no one guarantees you always have the project. So how many projects you can get, how well you can pay, it's based on the result, how innovation you can be, how creative you can be, how good quality of your job you can do. So we want to make sure lighting is part of the thing just besides of the camera. 2 things is enough, camera and light. If those things can make you so easy, enjoy all the process, always produce the highest quality thing, and you will have the freedom to be an artist. Chase your dream.
This is inspiring. Helena, everybody. This is an inspiring conversation. I'm all pumped up now. I want to get a bunch of lights. So I'm going to have you take me through real quick. What's your latest and greatest product you want to show off?
Everyone is good because they are all my babies, right? So I would say it depends on where you use. I normally encourage everyone, if you just know us, okay, you want to taste how good of Hobolite, try Mini first. Mini Creator Kit, yeah. Mini Creator Kit and with our light dark. The Mini Creator, it's very interesting when we just bring that one many years ago to cinema, Cine Gear, and then people don't think a 20 watts thing they can use.
You can use 20 watts.
Yeah, but in the cinema movie making, 20 watts for them is nothing. No one talk about 20 watts, but
they always talk about 60.
They talk about
100 or 300.
Okay,
yeah.
But the good thing, I like to work with this industry. Everyone is professional because it's so easy for them to be convinced. Just to switch on? Oh my God,
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
It works. It works.
This is only 25%.
That's at 25%. My corneas are on fire.
And this is 100. Oh my God. I'm killing you, right?
I feel like it's Oppenheimer going on here.
Yeah, so Mini is, even it is just a 20 watts, but comes with a lot of features. So with the built-in TCR lens, it will increase.
So you can zoom it.
Yes, we can increase the brightness 3 times in 1 second.
That is awesome.
And the second thing is, you might notice that every product in our Hobolite range comes with a lens because we are professional in the optic design in the past decades. We didn't use the standard reflector because the reflector is going to give you very high spot in the middle, but not even in the rest, right? So the lens is with the real design. All the light is very evenly. So we have the models here sitting there in front of the light, 100 watts of our Avant, more than 8 hours yesterday and also several hours today. She feels very comfortable because the light makes her very comfortable, healthy. So this light is finally going to, we don't just chasing for the very beautiful number on the spreadsheet on the website. We care about what's the result. As a portrait, as a picture, you want the light is clean, you want the portrait is beautiful, you want the person you shot is as good looking as possible. So that's where we put our efforts. So, and also we make them just the 2 knobs. It's so easy. And how many seconds you need to learn how to use the 2 knobs?
I pushed it down, it turned on, I turned up my brightness, I changed my color temperature, and I was good to go.
And there's a lot of details. If you give me the time, more than 1 hour, I can explain on how we design the Mini. But let's make this simple, okay?
What's the street price on this for someone watching?
$399.
$399. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you get all the very well selected accessories.
Do you guys make an IP rated version of this?
We have X series, especially not only just the IP. Back to 15 years ago, we are the first one introduced the first IP67 work line in the world.
IP67 is a good rating.
Yeah, we didn't do that on this generation because the IP67 going to sacrifice a lot of your efficiency.
Right.
And you want as bright as possible. But we do have the technology not only for IP67 water resistant, but also for extreme weather, like a minus 30 F, minus 30 degrees C also. So we put those kind of minus application and also IP water resistant application in our X series. So those people who really need to shoot things near the water with the water potential and also in the extreme weather, like where I'm living in Minnesota, right? It's cold, right? Sometimes we still need to do shooting. Okay, yeah. That would be perfect. But in general, you don't need that. So we go with the standard kit. It's going to be good for most of the daily shooting for you.
What about the opposite side of the spectrum? As somebody who lives in Austin, Texas, where it gets to be 115 degrees, how do these handle the heat?
I'm so glad you mentioned that because, we are dealing all the global premium brand of the tools. So we know all the criteria, whole world. And we design the temperature rise very strictly in our lab. If you ever have the chance, we have all the distributor came to our factory and they know we have the best lab in the world. And we also have some of the videos in our website and show you how we do our test. We have like a junior photometer, we have the temperature rising test. We not only simulate the normal room temperature, we also simulate like a 40 degrees C. And we also have, we say NTC, which is a very special sensor in each of our product to guarantee when the temperature getting too high, they will cooling down the light automatically, make sure you are safe. Because with the battery, you need to be very, very safe.
Well, something that stands out to me about these lights is somebody who has a YouTube channel who reviews a lot of LED lights. I get the same phone call, like, hey, can you review this monoblock light? And it's the same light with the same 5 effects. It goes from 2700 to 6500, pretty much the exact same design. I can say beyond absolute certainty that these are very different than anything I've ever touched, and they're pretty cool.
Thank you.
Now, where can they learn more about your product? Where should they go? To your website?
Yeah, we have a website, and if you need, you also can go to B&H. You also can go to Adorama. You also can go to our Amazon shop.
Awesome. Well, Helena.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm going to move on to my next vendor now.
So Hobolite, to me, was the manufacturer that stood out the most. It was the one that I was the most curious about. And I got to say, the quality of their lights was remarkable because, you know, I have an entire playlist on my YouTube channel of those monoblock LED lights, and they're all the same. It's like, oh, we have a 100 or a 300 watt light. It's bicolor. It has 7 or 8 effects on it. And I'm more or less doing the exact same review of the exact same light. It has a Bowens mount. The Hobolites are like a third the size or a quarter of the size. Like some of the Hobolites are the size of my Canon battery. Now they're deeper, but they're like the size of my Canon battery. And, you know, Helena did the drop test. She would just drop the lights on the ground, and they're very robust. They're built incredibly well. And all the lights came with lenses. They zoom. So that's how you're able to, because we think of things in terms of wattage, like, oh, it's a 20 watt light, or it's a 40 or a 60 or a 100. But you're able to, like with a zoom reflector, get more output out of it, and you get, you know, a couple, 2 or 3 stops more out of it that way, right? So that was what was really, I think that was like the standout product of the whole event. Obviously, the Fuji X100VI was the standout camera, but I think that the Hobolites were the standout lights of the event.
It's really interesting is watching that interview kind of makes me think that every other light that we buy, every other continuous light that's on the market that's, you know, more so affordable or not, is it's just their whole tactic is we're just going to give you a shit ton of power in your light and let you do with it and modify and shape it how you will, and it's still going to be, you know, a lot. Hobolite, looking at that, is their shtick seems to be we're going to make an incredibly well-crafted light. We're not going to give you an insane amount of power. Why? Because you can shape and make that light more efficient with the modifiers that come with the light that are, again, over-engineered just like the light itself.
Yeah, and the thing that Helena touched up on, which made a lot of sense to me, is as photographers and videographers, we baby our cameras, and we love our cameras, and maybe we think of our lights as an afterthought. So her idea was, why don't we make the light so awesome that you think of it with the same fondness that you think of your camera, but we also need to make it smaller, which will make you want to put it in your bag more and take it out places. Because as I get older, the thing that usually is the biggest kick in the ass for me is size and weight. I'm like, I don't feel like taking my flash with me today. Or I don't feel like doing this or that today because of size and weight. These are small. These are light. And so that really stood out to me. And then their carbon fiber stands also, they're not cheap. The stands aren't. The lights are reasonably priced. I think their most expensive light is $900, and it's a kit. And it's a 100 watt light. Now, if you're well tuned to the LED world, a 100 watt light for $900 sounds like a lot of money. And if you're just talking about power output, it is a lot of money. But these, in my opinion, after doing tons and tons of reviews of different LED lights, these are not your standard LED lights. These are, you know, definitely premium LED lights that you're going to hopefully have for years and years and years to come, because if they're built the way that my hands felt them, they should last for a really long time. And so 100,000 hours, I mean, that's a long time.
Not only that, but just hearing the way the CEO spoke about the lights, how invested and how excited she was about the light, You know, she wasn't very far from the product and all of her knowledge. She knew exactly how to use it, how to sell it. She didn't just send her ambassadors to go represent the light at WPPI, some guy making $17 an hour. No, she was there and she was repping the entire capability of what the light could do. And that's like, I want to buy from a company like that. I don't want to buy from, you know, X new light who's got the same chassis as every other light because they're like, oh, let's make a quick buck and just, you know, rebrand what's already been done. And in a world where that's happening so often, I find Hobolite's approach to lighting and their philosophy on lighting to be extremely refreshing.
Speaking of things that Brandon might buy, Brandon has a fascination with concrete, and he loves concrete. Now, I went ahead and I purchased one of the McKinnon backpacks, but there was a really cool Australian company that not only makes backpacks, but makes filters, and they go under the name Urth. That's URTH. And,
I have one of their filters.
Yeah, so there you go. So go ahead, and I talked to Nico.
All right, so we are at the Urth booth right now with Nico.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, and so Nico, I want you to talk to me about what Urth has to offer and what are some things that you're showing off at the WPPI show.
Yeah, so we're here at the WPPI show. Let's get started with this magnetic lens filter kit. So this is a magnetic filter kit that comes with a UV, a circular polarizing ND8 and an ND1000. And the way it works, it's pretty simple. So basically you could attach an adapter ring onto your lens, or you could also use the UV filter, which comes threaded. Once that's on, you could basically start switching and swapping easily with the magnetic system. Circular polarizing, and then you basically rotate to adjust your reflection.
What filter sizes do those come in? What's your range?
It comes from 37 to 95.
Excellent. What's the price range on this set? Is it? I'm assuming the more glass, the more expensive.
Yeah. The smaller sizes are more inexpensive. The bigger one. But for a 77, that's pretty standard. This kit with the 4 filters and the adapter ring and the lens cap retails for $239.
That's pretty good considering how many filters you get.
Yeah.
So.
Also, German shot glass, 20 layers of nano-coating, so really great quality.
Awesome. Let's go check out some of your bags.
So this is our Arcos 20-liter backpack. So the way this works is it's an everyday bag that can be transformed into a camera bag by introducing this camera insert, which probably fit a camera body, a couple of lenses, maybe some filters. But you can also remove the insert, open up that compartment to then have your everyday backpack. You could also fit a laptop. This is an 15-inch MacBook Pro. So, yeah. Pockets on top. This is a weatherproof recycled nylon. Yeah, and it comes in green, beige, black, and ash gray.
And there are 2 sizes, right?
Yeah. So that's the 20-liter backpack and 24-liter. Where the side access, the easy access on the side.
Now you guys make smaller bags, right? Like little purses and stuff like that?
We have this Andesite 2-liter pouch. Actually...
Oh, he's grabbing my Fuji X100 6. Let's see what we can do with this guy.
Let's see if it fits here.
A purse or a man purse, however you want to call it, for your hipster camera. And boom, X100 fits right in. Now, how much does that bag go for?
This bag retails for $75.
That's not bad at all. And then what was the larger and the smaller one retail for? what did those retail for?
The 20-liter retails for $219 with the insert, and the 24-liter is a 24 retails for $269 and $219.
Perfect. Awesome. And all of this stuff is available now. There's no pre-order. It's all current product.
It's our sling, which is perfect for a mirrorless system. Mirrorless camera, a couple of lenses.
Oh, it's perfect. Little sling bag.
Yeah.
And what does that guy go for?
$109.
Not bad at all, man. You got we're in Vegas, you got your hangover outfit. You got the little man pack going.
Exactly.
So, awesome. Well, I'll put your link down below in the description. And yeah, thank you for letting me come by your booth and check out all your products.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
So Urth stood out to me because of the minimalism, and I just thought of you standing in a bread line in Eastern Europe waiting for bread, and the fact that you love minimalism and 3,000 PSI concrete, and their designs stood out to me.
You see, what's nice about having that minimal magnetic lens filter system is that you can hand roll your own cigarettes while waiting in that line and attach that filter at the same time. You don't need both hands, which is really, really something cool. You can just go boop, and then here you are. You roll it, and you're fine.
No, but I really liked, because some bags go all in on this is a photography bag.
Yeah.
And I found that their bags do a pretty good job of, hey, I might be traveling and I might need clothes in addition to having my camera gear. And I know that you're a minimalist when you travel. You don't even carry a bag. You're such a minimalist. You just walk through airport security with your Z8. I'm gonna take this with me.
You would, if you saw how I travel on a plane with my camera, like sometimes it'll get to the point where I just put the camera with the lens on just down at my feet.
He just buckles it up like, here you go, little buddy. Yeah. I bought you a seat.
I'll literally just be like sleeping on the thing, and I'll just have the camera like in my lap, like $5,000 worth of shit on my camera. Just, it's ridiculous.
Well, I thought Urth was a really cool product that stood out to me. I really like their lens filter systems. You think, oh, $250. It's not just like your standard crappy glass. It's German glass. It's really good filter systems. It's magnetic. And so if you want kind of an all-in-one system that you can just take with you, and just slap on what you need real quick, whether it's a circular polarizer. That stood out to me. So
it seems to me that a lot of people are sort of gearing towards that mirrorless street photography kind of like thing, right? Like they're making minimal bags for the on-the-go photographer that's traveling, making reels, the influencer. Oh, like the lens filter kit they had, it looked like it was for a 52 millimeter thread, not the like 72 to 80 whatever for the more serious photographers out there. Everything seems to be, just based on what you showed me, geared towards that traveling street photographer who makes content.
Well, the one thing that stood out to me about Urth, their designer is a woman. Yeah. And you saw the purses that Nico showed off. Those look like purses designed by women. Because I do find that a lot of bag companies, they're just thinking of dudes putting the bag on, putting the little chest strap on, because they're backpacking and all that.
Click.
Some people just, like some people just need to like take a few things with them, and women like, I'm not speaking for all women here, but a lot of women like to have a small little purse with them. And if you can fit your mirrorless in there, why not? And so Urth kind of fills that need, in my opinion, better than anybody else I saw at the
Urth
show.
was more like, this is the photographer lifestyle, and Peter McKinnon's Nomatic was more like, here's a rugged fucking just stick your shit in there. We've got you covered with water. We've got you covered on speed. We've got you covered on build quality. Get the fuck out there. Go hike a waterfall and just take some photos. Whereas Urth's like, all right, mate, go on, get your latte, make sure you're in a nice urban area, and fucking, if you need clothes to go down to the beach, go on, you've got a fucking rucksack with you.
I think the Urth is more of a hybrid one, Like
yeah,
it's more like a, hey, you might be doing other things than just taking pictures, and we took that into account when we built you a bag. So awesome job on Urth stuff. So go check them out. I'll leave a link in the description below. We're going to finish out today's episode in the interviews with the F11's own and a sponsor. We're going to talk to David at Cheetah Stand.
I am with David from Cheetah Stand, and we're going to talk about the products that they have to offer here at WPPI 2024. So, talk about Cheetah Stand.
Yeah, so we're a locally owned small business grip company based out of Dallas, Texas. What we're known for are these collapsible light stands where when you close it on the floor, they open up the light stands. And what's great about that is it makes shooting fast, easy, and on the go. And it's incredible because as a wedding photographer myself, I've been shooting since 2016. This made me a better off-camera flash photographer, so I am sold on the product. What we also do in Dallas, Texas, is if you're a Godox user and something happens to your Godox light, we will fix your lights. So we repair Godox lights, and that's something that I think is different in the industry. And since we're talking about Godox repairs, we also repair these stands too. So after you're using them for 5, 6, 7 years and the parts start wearing down, what we'll do is we'll have parts for every one of these things on all our light stands and soft boxes so that we can fix them and keep you going. So
pretty awesome. Now,
yeah,
what do you guys offer besides stands as a company?
Yeah, so what we do is we also offer soft boxes, boom stands, pistol stands, anything that's grip related. But we only sell things that are used by us and any other photographer. So we take in customer feedback, we take it in and figure out what's best for you, and then we put it together. And so we take in a lot of critiques because, you know, what we use it for doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to use it for. And so we're always trying to innovate and find something new to make it work for us.
So for the C series, you said that you have a C8, a C10, and a C12. And something that I think is important is because a lot of people don't know what kind of light maybe they should put on each one. They'll go out and they'll buy a C8 and then they'll try to put a 600 watt second strobe on it. What would you recommend? Maybe just throw out some brand name lights that you could maybe put on the 8, the 10, and the 12. Which, by the way, what does the 8, the 10, and the 12 mean?
So the C8, C10, and C12 is an 8-foot light stand, 10-foot light stand, and a 12-foot light stand. So what I recommend for the C8 would be a speed light and a very small modifier or an umbrella. With the C10, we're getting into the medium area, 300 to 400 watts a second strobes, and then add on a larger softbox, so maybe a 34-inch softbox. And we have the largest one, which is a C12. That will hold the biggest one, including a 48-inch parabolic softbox. But we also have the other series, like the rolling boom, where it's a wheeled stand that also converts into a boom. And that is our version of a C-stand, because we find that C-stands actually, if you don't have a grip assistant putting sandbags on them, you kick them over, they'll drop immediately.
Well, I will say that as somebody who works in a studio, my studio has C-stands there, and I personally will use the rolling stand, and then I'll also use your C12 because it can carry quite a bit of weight.
Right.
And I'll put a 70-inch rear-facing umbrella on there.
Right.
Because it's more centrally, distributed.
Yes.
And then I'll put up to like a 48-inch softbox on it. So it's kind of an alternative way of thinking, especially if you don't want to hire an assistant or maybe you don't want to carry around a sandbag.
Yes.
That's kind of what I see this as fitting into the market as.
Right, absolutely. And that's exactly where it's at. Being wheeled, it's just so much easier to push your equipment around as needed, so we love that.
One other question for you, because you guys do sell modifiers. For your softboxes, what mounts do you keep those in? Is it just Bowen's mount, or do you make them for other ones?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We do Bowen's mount, we do Ellen Chrome, we do Alien B, and we do Profoto as well. And the Godox mount as well for the 8300 users that have the very specific mount. So we carry all our software boxes, and we can change the speed rings out to make that work better.
Awesome. Now, can I bribe you to make a Profoto mount for your Colt 45 reflector?
We are going to work on that. I love that idea.
Awesome. Well, this is David with Cheetah Stand. Say hello.
Yeah.
And we're going to move on to our next vendor now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much,
man. Have
Kevin.
a great show.
Cheers.
So yeah, that was Cheetah Stand, the F11's own. And what was interesting is Cheetah provided the stands for the conference, so like everybody was going to that booth. Like it was interesting, some manufacturers didn't bring products to sell. So like Nomatic had bags for display, but they didn't have bags for sale. You'd order it online, and my sling bag came in this morning, so I got it. Thanks to FedEx. Cool. So that's why I was able to show it off for this episode. But
hell yeah,
Cheetah Stand was like nah, we're gonna load up the SUV just, floor to ceiling and stands, and they just shove all the stands, and everyone's like walking out of there with stands.
Yeah.
I think that's smart. It's like, just get rid of inventory now. And but like they also use the stands for because it's much of a learning conference as much as it is just an exhibit that shows off the equipment.
That's what happens when you're based out of Dallas. You're like, you just take some Sprinter vans full of stands and just take it right over to Vegas.
David's out there just slinging the stands like I got he's just selling them right and left. But no, Cheetah stand they provided for all the photo walks and everything, so you'd see people walking around and they'd all have Cheetah stands on there. So. But no, they're doing great. They're growing by leaps and bounds, and they have really great partnerships with Nomatic and Stella Pro and a couple other companies that were there. So
as they should be.
As they should be. They should be growing because they make a fine product. I use their stands, and there's a bunch of their stands right behind this camera right now, and we use the hell out of them.
Yeah, Kevin introduced me to Cheetah Stand as a company I'd never heard of, and having used all of Kevin's equipment before, I use Cheetah Stand so often. And I've used their parabolic soft blocks. I've used their stands, both the heavy and the light, the automatic collapsible one. And I gotta say, like, it's just like, it's a no-brainer. When you look at Cheetah Stand's product line, it's not the most well-rounded product line. I think anyone can kind of look at that and go like, oh, you've kind of got like, a little bit here, a little bit there. But the thing about Cheetah Stand is their products, the ones that they do release, they just work really well. They function. They're nice. They're durable. They're rugged. It's kind of just what you look for in a product, which is I don't want to think about it when I have to use it.
Yeah, and I don't mind beating the hell out of it. It's it makes some clangy sounds in the back of your car, but it also like doesn't get destroyed when you put it down. If it falls over or whatever, which it doesn't really fall over very often, because if you are smart and you listen to what David was saying in the video and you buy the right light for the right stand, because like you hear these people like, I'm putting a 600 watt second strobe on the C8, and it's like, dude, that doesn't have a wide enough base.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you got to put like a speed light or something like that on there. So that was why I purposely asked David to clarify, like the C8, the C10, and the C12, which light should you put on there. But they have some stuff coming down the pipeline, and they because they make all the different mounts. I mean, they're the alternative. Like if you go buy Pro Photo lights and you don't want to spend $500 on one of their freaking strip softboxes, you can get one from Cheetah Stand for $170 something with a Pro Photo mount on it. So they're a good alternative to have, because even though it's interesting because I know that Adorama is starting to make their version of the Cheetah stands, but they don't necessarily make all the exact same things that they do. Like I think they're going to make a Pro Photo Colt 45 reflector now. Cheetah Stand is. David's kind of hinted that they're going to go in that direction, which I'm super excited about. So. Yeah. But do you have any other thoughts about WPPI? Anything that stood out, or do you want to call it an episode?
Okay, that's a great question. I find it so interesting that a lot of what we talked about was accessories. I didn't see that coming necessarily. I thought it was going to be more so about like, testing out the new tech. Like you brought up the global shutter in Sony's new A9 system, and I thought that a lot of that kind of tech was going to be talked about. It was going to be like discussed. Like I thought there was going to be like a lot of opportunities to test out cameras, to see the rolling shutter, to test out the different capabilities. But it seems to me, which is really interesting, like it seems that all these companies are just figuring out better ways to make a photographer's life easier in the more peripheral things. Travel, how to set up their lights, how to set up their actual shooting experience, as opposed to the cameras themselves, which maybe that's a good thing, because cameras are so over-engineered these days that that's the least of our worries.
My first day there, I decided not to interview anybody. I just walked around. I saw what was there, and I saw what stood out to me, and that was exactly what I concluded. It's like there's so much content about the X100 right now. I'm making my own video about it. There's so much content about the A9 Mark III. There's so much content about the 24 to 105 2.8. We're just going to be another set of talking heads talking about it. And so I just thought, hey, what stands out at this conference that might be unique to the listener and the viewer of this pod that might make them actually go, oh, hey, I might actually click the link and go look that up. And so that was really where the journey took me when I was in Vegas. But hopefully this episode 10 of season 2 was educational for a lot of you. 10. And hopefully Brandon can go with me next year.
Hell yeah.
That does it for today's episode. We thank each and every one of you who both watch or listen to this podcast. F11pod.com is where you can find us. Of course, you can find us on all the major social media platforms, some of which we never post on. But you can obviously send us emails or leave comments in the YouTube video if you have questions about anything. You want to maybe link up with some of the people we talked to and you can't find their contacts, just let us know. We'll hook it up the best we can. But all of you, until next time, chase light and not algorithms.
Thank you for listening to today's episode.
For more information about this podcast, go to www.f11pod.com.